Okay, is 2025 the year that you are going to smash your Parkrun 5K PB? Whether you're aiming for sub 30 minutes, sub 25 minutes, sub 20, or even sub 15, I've got you covered. And within this video, I'm going to share 7 simple tips that will help move you forward as a fitter, faster athlete. But why the hell should you listen to me in 2025? Because I've been there, been trying to figure out exactly how to get quicker without overcomplicating things. These tips exactly have helped me and the runners I coach not only run faster, but run smarter. I went from running a 25-minute 5K to running an 18-minute 20 parkrun, and only 3 weeks later, running a 16:30 parkrun. I can do it, you can do it. Number 1, start smart. Don't be one of those people who sets off fast and then blows up halfway through. It's not fun to pace it in that way. You want to pace it conservatively. So setting off slightly easier, gradually getting into your rhythm, letting your heart rate rise, and then pushing in the second half to run a negative split. It's the best way to run it. How does that look like in training? If you're aiming for a sub 25-minute 5K, so you're aiming for 5 minutes per kilometer, you might start your intervals at 5:30 or 5:20 per kilometer and get 10 seconds quicker per interval so that you're finishing the last intervals in 4:50 or 4:40 pace. What that will help you do, a simple interval session like 6 times 1 kilometer, will help you to run that negative split and run faster in the second half. Number 2. Nail your warm-up. Don't neglect your warm-up. Whether it's a recovery run or an easy run or an interval session or a race or a long run, it's going to help you not just prime the body to be able to run fast or be able to get the most out of the session, it's also going to stop you from getting injured as much, which again is going to help with the consistency, help with that improvement. So just start with a walk. I start with a 5-minute walk, check on the body, how we're doing, how was the last session, has it soaked in, is there any tightness or soreness that I need to take care of, then some dynamic stretching, a little bit of jogging into strides and accelerations to the pace that I want to set off in the race, so that the start of the race is not a shock to the system. You don't want to get to kilometer 1 and your heart rate is sky high, because it's very difficult to bring it under control unless you reduce your pace significantly. Number 3, find your pace early. Think of the perfect strategy for your race. If you're aiming for a sub 25-minute 5K or just to dip under 25 minutes, we're locking in to that 5 minutes per kilometer as soon as we possibly can. And what it should feel like is we get into halfway and it feels like we've still got the handbrake on, which is going to make it way easier to make up time in the second half. Think of the perfect race of being first kilometer, 5 minutes per kilometer, second kilometer, 5 minutes per kilometer, third kilometer, starting to get hard, but 5 minutes per kilometer. Fourth kilometer, really digging in because it's really starting to get hard, but 5 minutes per kilometer. And then that final kilometer, that 5th kilometer, probably the hardest, but you can see the finish line, so you're able to go faster, empty your energy, and get over the line in just under 25 minutes. What that pacing is also going to enable you to do is, if you get to 2.5 or 3K and it still feels easy, it still feels comfortable for you, you can push on and make lots of time up in those final 2 kilometers. Number 4, use the course to your advantage. Not all park runs are created equally. Some will be much more hilly than others. Some might have very, very difficult turns where you've got to be a 180 turn, you've got to slow down and then accelerate again. You've got to be ready for that. So ideally you would have jogged the course, trained on the course before, and you will know exactly when to put the effort in and when not to. If it's a hilly course and you've got to factor that into your pacing, then that's based on effort and also the training that you've been doing to get ready to tackle that hill and attack that hill. Put the effort in, knowing that what goes up has got to come down. Therefore, if you're going up, you're likely to get a downhill on the other side where you can relax, bring your breathing under control, bring your heart rate down, ready to go again. So even if a park run is not flat, doesn't mean you cannot still personal best at that park run. And a pro tip here, if you really want to run as fast as you possibly can at a park run, it makes sense, especially if it's close by, to go and train on that park, to go and do your intervals on that park and maybe even your long run, so that you know every twist and turn, every hill, every downhill to that park. The more that you know that course, the greater the chance that you're going to run fast on it. Number 5, focus on breathing and form. If you think of the perfect runner, and you should be practicing this in all your runs, recovery runs, easy runs, long runs, interval sessions, and your races. But ideally in those training sessions so that you can execute great form during the race. What you see is a different runner usually at the start of the race when they're full of energy and fresh to the end of the race where they're fatigued, even if it's a 5K, but you definitely notice the difference the further on it goes. And if you look at a marathon, start versus finish, it's a completely different runner. And maybe you started like Eliud Kipchoge looking great and you're finishing labored and it's very, very difficult. Think about in that 3rd and 4th kilometer where it starts to get hard and where maybe you start to get tired, that if you continue that great form and you focus on your form, you bring in your arms up and driving your arms forward, it's likely that your legs will follow and your toe, knee, hip will all be aligned so that you're pushing off from the big power muscles, the glutes and the hamstrings, and not just trying to survive to the finish. It often is the case for me in a race that if I start to get fatigued and just focus on my form and my breathing and try to revitalize myself and get that second wind and go again, it's something to focus on, which will lead to you being a faster runner and you'll feel more efficient again. What I like to do, especially if I've gone into the red heart rate wise, is try to empty all the air out of your body and start again with a fresh. So deep breaths, out through the mouth, in through the nose. Try to completely revitalize yourself again to get that second wind and attack. It's only 5K, but if you mispace it, if you start to get fatigued, if you start to go into the red, it can feel like a marathon. Number 6, break it down mentally. Now, I like to look at a 5K like 2K, okay, I know I can run 2K at my 5K pace, and I know it should feel as comfortable as possible, and that's what I'm aiming for in that first 2K. I'm aiming to get to the 2K point, having spent as little energy as possible so I can focus on the final 3K. But I'll break it down into 2, 2, 1, knowing that the first 2K should be pretty comfortable, should be pretty easy. In that 3rd and 4th kilometer is often when people lose focus. They get slightly fatigued, they lose focus, and therefore they slow down and they start to miss pace, which means they've got a lot to do in that final kilometer in order to hit their goal pace. What you want to do is get to 2 kilometer having spent as little energy as possible. In that 3rd and 4th kilometer, you're really digging in, you're driving your form, and you're really locked in and focused on the pace at hand. Those are your most difficult kilometers in a 5K, 3rd and 4th. Once you get to the 5th kilometer, you can almost see the finish. And so you can drive, spend all the energy that you have left in getting to the finish line. The more practice you get at breaking it down mentally and pacing the 5K, the better you're going to become at racing, the faster the runner you're going to become. So don't just wait until your race to learn how to pace and break it down mentally. If you're also using this strategy in your interval sessions, it's going to help you so much. And if you look at a typical session like 20 times 400 meters with 60 seconds rest in between, not only is that a great session to make you a better 5K runner, to improve you physically and physiologically, it's great mentally too. And what I mean by that, if we're attacking that 20 times 400 meters and we're breaking it down into 5 sets of 4 reps, then we're looking at the first 8 reps like the first 2 kilometers of the 5K. So we want to do the first 8 reps and use as little energy as we possibly can whilst hitting the pace that we want to keep for the entire 20 times 400 meter session. That's incredibly important and incredibly powerful. What we're then trying to do from 9 to 16 reps is look at that like the 3rd and 4th kilometer. So it's starting to get hard, we're starting to get a little bit fatigued, but we still got to hold pace. So what we're looking to do is get from rep 1 all the way to rep 16, hitting and holding the pace that we want to hit for the entire 20 times 400 meters. And then 17, 18, 19, 20 rep, we know we can see the finish line just as we can in a 5K race. and then we're executing. We don't need to make up ground. We don't need to run faster. We just need to execute the session. And that might look for you like, okay, 20 times 400 meters in 90 seconds. And if we're hitting them between 88 seconds and 92 seconds, that's a great session. Again, physically, physiologically, it will move you forward, but mentally, doing you a lot of favors. Number 7, train smarter, not harder. As runners, we often make the mistake that more, especially volume, equals a faster runner, when it's just not the case. What we want to be doing is doing the right things well. You might need to get those right things off a YouTube channel like this, or off your coach, so that they're as individual to you as possible. A lot of runners, as I often say, are going out there 4 or 5 times a week and they want to feel like they've done a workout. And what that means is on the recovery runs and easy runs, they're running them with too much effort, running them too fast, and therefore they're into the gray zone, into zone 3, and they're not giving themselves the time to recover to really hit the key sessions well. Key sessions being your interval sessions, your faster running sessions, your hill repeats, threshold sessions, and specific long runs. If those key sessions are all designed to make you a faster 5K runner, all feeding into the goal, then all of a sudden the recovery runs and the easy runs are feeding into that goal too. If you're going out there and every time you're going out there, that run has a purpose to make you a faster 5K runner, all of a sudden it's such an enjoyable process because you're not just loving the running, you're loving the process and you know it's leading to a positive outcome. And there you are, 7 simple tips to make you a way faster 5K runner in 2025. And they're not just for elite runners or super serious runners. These are for everybody. It's about progress, not perfection. But let me know in the comments below, what are your goals and ambitions for 2025? How are you going to move your running on so that you can become a way different athlete by the end of this year?